booties for black girl nerds.
Craig, thank you so much for your time. It's good to see you again. I feel like we just saw each other in another interview. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you? Good to see you.
Thank you. I'm very good. Thank you. This is a fun show because it spoke to a part of me that I think a lot of content creators have in being an entrepreneur and a risk taker and doing something different just in pursuit of the dreams. You obviously are a risk taker when you go into entertainment. That's a huge risk as well. Is that something you connected with to for this on-screen Craig and real life Craig to fully flesh him out and bring him to life?
It certainly took me back to when I was in Chicago, and I was a point where I needed to take a risk. I won this comedy contest, but I felt claustrophobic in being in Chicago because I felt like there was more to do, and I had this moment. I was like, I need to take a risk. And I was like, I'm gonna go bungee jumping. I'm gonna drive to Wisconsin where they had this bungee jump, and I'm gonna go bungee jumping. And I never did it, but I needed to take a risk, so I ended up going to LA.
And here we are, and we're glad you did. It's a really interesting show. We got Black folks out in the swamp looking for snakes. That's not always our favorite of activities, but it's for the greater good. When this was first presented to you, how did you react? What were some of your immediate reactions to, okay, a snake guy who wants to be a businessman? Okay.
Well, Dan, GOOR, Luke, Del, TREDICI, we were having a meeting in Mark Schumann, and we were meeting, and we had these meetings in West Hollywood. First, we had a meeting to talk about, kind of what we wanted to do, get each other's ideas, and then Dan and Luke went off and came up with these 3 ideas, and this one just they were all good, but this one just spoke to me for some reason. It just sounded so weird and different, and there's the truth to it with the python hunting going on in the Everglades because they're overrun with pythons. So it just sounded cool and like weird and different and cool, and I'm sure surely some hilarity can ensue from this.
Of course. And even in the midst of all that comedy, there are some beautiful messages in there about friendships, about parenting. You have a wonderfully diverse cast. It's really checking all the boxes for you. Do you feel like, this might be the, that makes it into the Emmy nods, it's a lot of good stuff going on here.
Hey, I can only enjoy the moment, and which I'm enjoying right now, and the feedback that I'm getting, and I'm glad to hear you find it interesting and checking boxes. I certainly enjoyed doing it. It was one of the most challenging roles or even productions I've been a part of. We had hurricanes to deal with, from being pushed back for a hurricane to having to do a hurricane. Like, they created a hurricane for some of the scenes. So I had to learn sign language. We worked with animals. It was a lot going on.
How confident do you feel with working with animals now after this? Because it's enough to do a show, but then when you add in all these extra elements, it's a whole nother layer of hard work to bring it to life.
It's animals are like little bad kids. They do whatever they want. So I don't know how you can feel confident. You gotta just. I'd be more confident if we could get any angle, but the animals are gonna do what they want, no matter what the trainers are going. Hey, here, right here, look right here, look right here. The animals looking that way. Look right here. It's amazing.
When I found out I was going to do some interviews with you guys, I purposely didn't watch any trailers for the show before I watched the show itself. So when I saw Killing It, I didn't know if you were going to be dancing, if you were going to be killing it that way. I didn't know what the Killing It was going to be. But I was excited that it was this and it was something so different. So when you heard the title Killing It, did you know the title first or did you know the subject content first?
No, the title came after. I think after the pilot, after they had written the pilot, the title came. Yeah, so the title came way later, but I do love the title. And we were just, excuse me, we were surprised we could get it. It was, we felt like it might not make it, but we did it.
You made it indeed. Well, I thank you, sir, for your time. I hope you have a marvelous season. This brought me a lot of laughs and a lot of fun, and I enjoyed it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for getting the word out.
Oh, my pleasure. Take care. Thank you so much for your time. It is a pleasure to be with you. This was a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah, no problem.
I'm happy you enjoyed
it. Happy you enjoyed it.
It's really cool. It's got a little bit of everything. We got animals, we got comedy, we've got risk takers and entrepreneurs. And it's an incredible risk to be an actor and a performer. When you think about risk taking, how much do you think you would have in common with a character like Craig as someone who wants to pursue happiness?
Not too much, honestly. I mean, I applaud people who are brave enough and bold enough to pursue things of that nature. For me, pursuing wild jobs and crazy jobs, I think the craziest for me is acting. But I mean, I respect all those out there who do crazier things.
But that's pretty awesome too. It's brave and it's risk taking, particularly in an industry where things change constantly. What I love about your part as Camille is not just for the representation, but it just seems so natural to be in that space. We've seen Coda has been kicking down the door for film. Are you ready to blaze the trail into comedy for hearing impaired people? Because this is a new experience for us as well.
Yes, I do prefer to use the term deaf as opposed to hearing impaired, just as a note. Yes. I do hope that this is not just a hot trend out there. You know, seems like a lot has been going on with deaf films and the deaf community, like the Eternals and Hawkeye. We've seen some wonderful characters throughout the years becoming more standardized within the industry. And I'm hoping that the barriers are starting to be broken down to where it's just normal to see a deaf person on screen. We're just like everyone else, and we deserve to have jobs, stable jobs, not just once a year on screen. You know, it's not fair. We should be afforded the same opportunities. And so it would be amazing if, and not only just deaf people, but actors with disabilities across the board. We want to see more of that on screen. I would love to see that.
Exactly. It's reflective of everyday life. If I leave my house right now, I'm going to see a variety of different people, and we definitely want art to imitate that. Exactly. This show is so quirky and so funny and interesting with what everyone is trying to do. You obviously play Camille, who is Craig's ex-wife, and raising her daughter, new relationship, and all those things. When you first read the script, what struck you the most? What was the funniest thing or the thing that really hooked you in that made it interesting for you?
I remember when I read the first scene where I was with my ex-husband. They were walking into the apartment. They open the door and they see some porn going on. It was hilarious. I mean, that was my very first scene to read. And that's actually what I auditioned with. And I was like, oh my God, should I actually do this job? But it was so funny. Something very different for me. This is my first time being in a comedy, and it's been great. It's been really great. I've been on drama and horror and kind of some dark themed projects, but to be in a comedy has been great. The balance of it has been really fantastic. Hats off to all the writers. Really, it's a mix about a story about family and snakes and relationships. And I think it really can resonate to a lot of people.
When I watched it, I was very impressed with Craig was also signing back to you. It wasn't just, sometimes films or projects will just make it a little lazy and say something like, oh, you know, they can read lips, which also that your character can do, but still actually seeing the act of it being done. How much did you help Craig perfect it, or did he already come ready to work with you, knowing some things before you guys got together to shoot?
Yeah, great question. Prior to my meeting him, he actually had already practiced the alphabet. So that was a really great start. We had an ASL consultant on set as well, where he was able to practice his lines in ASL with the consultant prior to filming. And honestly, it wasn't a lot of time for him, so it wasn't easy, but he did a great job. He made such a great effort. And I know that it was, nerve-wracking for him in the beginning, but as time went on, he got a bit more comfortable. It was really great to see that, and I appreciated it quite a bit. I did help as well, just to make sure that the signing was clear, and working with the ASL consultant and myself being involved, he did a great job.
That's awesome. So lastly, I didn't practice. My brother used to work at a deaf school when he was younger, and he started teaching me a little bit. But can you tell me if I'm doing my name right? Is it Jeandra? Is that right?
Your name, right? Very good.
I've been trying to practice. We got to learn all the languages across the
Fabulous.
board.
Very clear. Very clear. Great.
Well, I thank you for your time. This show was really funny. I enjoyed it.
My pleasure.
I love what everyone brought to it, and the pleasure was entirely mine to speak with you today.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Take care. Thank you both for your time. I appreciate it. I'm sorry for my little technical glitches. We all need a Jillian in our life to help us.
Yeah.
Well, I thank you guys for your time. This is a fun show. We got a little bit of everything. We've got this motley crew of people who've come together who are hunting pythons. And it's really a fun journey. Beginning with you, Claudia, Jillian has this eternal optimism, want to help people even to her own detriment. Are you a big time helper in your own personal life? And how far would you go to help somebody catch a python in a swamp that you don't know?
I don't know if I would go as far as Jillian, and that probably reflects really badly on me. But, how far would I go to help someone catch a snake? I'm not sure that I would immediately give $100 to a guy I just met for a snake that I had killed. But I don't know, maybe if it was Craig Robinson, I would.
Craig Robinson's a fun guy. Scott, over for you. Again, this is a terrific, it's got comedy, it's got some heart, it's got some adventure. What was most attractive about portraying Brock for you?
Well, originally I auditioned for the role of the snake, and I don't have the body. I'm just a little too square. But no, I thought Brock just seemed, I think there's some universal aspect, or maybe it's my own projection on everybody, but that, at any given moment, you can kind of sit back and question whether or not your life is working out the way you thought it would, or you wanted it to. And I think that can change on a day-to-day basis, but for Brock, it just seemed like I kind of, my life is nothing like his, but I could understand that idea of that maybe it's not quite where I thought it would be. In my own real life, I thought I'd have a pickup truck, and I don't. I have a bicycle. So, you could just extrapolate from there.
Mother Nature thanks you. I'm sure they say, Mother Nature appreciates you. Claudia, with these people, there's a great deal of risk taking, something that's near and dear to my heart. I'm a very much a risk taker, an entrepreneur, and I love trying new things. Are you a risk taker? And when you think about starting this journey of being a performer, where do you put yourself in the risk taking scale, like Jillian and all these other characters we have on the show?
Well, I guess I probably had a similar insane level of optimism, and even though I had no training or connections in the acting world, I thought I could probably be an actor, which was kind of a crazy idea. But I do think you kind of need that level of kind of intense self-belief to make it happen, really, unless you're very lucky.
For sure. And Scott, back over to you. Are you even a snake person? You're in tune with nature, you riding bikes, and now you find yourself immersed in this. Are you even I'm afraid. I'm trying to think of what the first day, even with fake snakes, would be like for me. Are you even a snake person?
Well, I don't think anybody in their right mind would say, you know me, I'm a big snake person. I think I have friends that have snakes. I still don't even think they're snake people. I found as we went on and we were around, occasionally we would have a real snake kind of in the background or something for atmosphere, that I did find myself warming up to them. I'd never really had an experience with a snake prior to this show to tell you whether or not I had an opinion on a snake. But I guess I kind of am an animal guy, and I'm going to root for you. If you have a heartbeat, I'm going to root for you. So I guess I kind of now am a snake guy. Is that a thing? Can you kind of be a snake guy?
Maybe. My brother has one, and I admire it as long as it stays in the cage.
Oh,
but
wow.
Thank you.
What kind of snake does he have?
Yeah, a python, ironically, but it's like not as big as what you guys are dealing with, maybe like 3 or 4 feet, but it stays in there. And I go, good job, snake. Well, thank you guys. I thank you guys for your time. This was super fun. I laughed a lot, and I hope everybody enjoyed it as much as I did. Thank you so much.
Awesome.
Thank you, Jeandra.
Thank you, guys. Please forgive me if I have a little intermittent Wi-Fi issues. It's a little slow over here on the island of Inglewood, California, but thank you for your time. Killing It, it's so fun, and it spoke to a part of me that is an entrepreneur, a risk taker, fly by the seat of their pants kind of person. Dan, beginning with you, this is so different from any show that I've ever seen. It's got so much heart and comedy and all these great elements. What was the first character that jumped out for you? Was it truly the Craig character that started it for you, or how did the crafting begin?
Well, Luca and I spent a lot of time talking about this show, and a lot of time talking about doing something very different from Brooklyn, a show we're so proud of, but we really wanted to challenge ourselves and do something that felt tonally different and felt, while still being as funny and having heart, etc. And so it's hard. I don't want to evade the question. I would say Craig's character was the first character that we really latched into and then built the world around Craig's character. But I think all of the characters really resonated in one way or another. And the whole goal in creating the characters was that everybody has their journey. Just like in real life, everybody has their journey. And we wanted to give every character. And so at least at some point in our journey with the character, we've latched on to each character. And we want you as an audience, just like we as writers, root for every single character.
Yeah, we talked a lot about the idea that it could, make a show where you feel like every single one of the characters has a journey that's interesting enough that the show could be about them, and it's about Craig, but that you could have started the pilot about any of them if in a different world.
Yeah, I agree. I like that. That's what I did like. I found myself kind of jumping from character to character, who was really drawing me in and who was pulling me in. And then you have your extra character, I guess you could say, in a snake. Which
Did you find yourself rooting for the snake and wishing that the show had just been about snakes?
I don't know. I think it's in episode 2. I'm rooting for poor Snake. Didn't do too good in that episode, which was pretty funny. Having animals in shows and things are a whole nother set of challenges and elements that bring humor and danger. I know I'm sure you guys didn't have like Jake the Snake Roberts and just snakes all over the place, but why snakes? Why not an alligator hunter? Or what was so appealing about that?
I mean, honestly, the snakes were, I wish that it had been something different because I'm terrified of snakes and I didn't like having to watched so many videos about them. I researched this, but it's a real, it really is just a real thing that like the actual, there's a real problem in Florida that people have introduced these exotic pets and then to the state and then abandoned them in the Everglades. And they've taken over the last 20 years, especially to a point where it's an actual, ecological catastrophe that threatens this entire like important and beloved ecosystem. And so the state does start sponsoring these hunts and paying regular people to help them exterminate enormous, up to 20-foot snakes. And you start reading about it, and it's such an evocative and kind of terrifying situation.
But also, I mean, so there's no question we wouldn't have done it if it weren't real. But also, there's this great biblical imagery, and I think we were really drawn to that.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's right.
I love that. I look at Craig Robinson, and I'm such a fan of his. He's so funny. I love everyone in the show. And when I first saw the title, I purposely didn't watch any trailers because I wanted fresh eyes to know. And I saw killing it, and I was thinking, oh, he's killing it. That's how I thought what I was going to see. And I was so pleasantly surprised that it was off the scales and off the chain from what I expected. Dan, wrapping up with you, that title, Killing It. Why that?
Luke pitched it really early on, actually. So I think Luke is the one to answer.
I mean, I just would say that titles are the hardest thing. It's the thing I dread. And this was the only time in 20 years of writing I've ever had a title that I was like, oh, that's a good title. I like it. It's never happened before,
I tried to kill it. I mean, the title, but it was too good.
And then there was a brief moment when it looked like we might not be able to clear it, like other things might, somebody else might own that title. And it was like, and then we have lists of probably 10,000 alternate titles. They're so terrible, just like so deep. All of them are so horrible. And we just couldn't come up with anything else. And then we finally heard that we were able to use Killing It. And that's by far the happiest moment of this entire journey for me.
Well, I'm glad because it really drew me in. Thank you, gentlemen, for your time. I laughed a lot at the show. It was really funny and interesting. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
I just had my dog in here for National Pet Day. I just set him down, much to his dismay.
Participator.
Oh, what a sweetie. Well, thank you guys for your time. I appreciate it. Animals are taking center stage today. They've taken center stage with reptiles in this show. And it's really, really funny and quirky and interesting. Jet, beginning with you, you have these very interesting parents. One is deaf. Your dad is divorced, and now he wants to find snakes so he can win money. When you first read this script, what was the funniest thing about it to you that made you say, yeah, this is a project I want to get involved with?
I think it's hilarious, and it's one of my favorite things that he's the parent, but I'm really in control. Like, just knowing
I think my daughter has that.
Just knowing that, like, he's in control, but I'm in control.
The kids always run the house. How about for you, White? The same thing. When you were first reading through it and learning about it, what was the funniest thing about this show for you?
There were definitely some funny moments that I was reading up, but I feel like the biggest thing that made me wanna say yes was the cast more so than like the script. The script was absolutely amazing, but then again, it's Luke and Dan, so that's as to be expected. But once you hear like, oh, it's Craig Robinson's attached, I'm thinking, awesome, that's great. That's so much information I can get. If I could learn an iota of what Craig knows, that would improve everything that I've ever done and worked for. And same with Scott, same with Claudia. It's just everybody on set, everybody that was already signed on was absolutely amazing. So I was like, yeah, I want to take the opportunity to go meet these people and go and learn from them and hopefully take away at least a little golden nugget of information.
I think you brought your own gold nuggets to this show because you both were excellent, and I enjoyed what both of you brought. Jet, when you audition for a comedy role, but you're more of like like the straight person, how is that different? How do you approach portraying comedy on screen? Is it your favorite? Is it challenging? What is comedy for you?
Well, I mean, comedy. So my first show, this is my second show. So my first show, it's also comedy, but it's children's comedy. So this is like just the difference between this show and the other show. It's 100% PG show, and this show, like my mom has to check it before I watch it just to make sure. Like just being able to be a part of such a different show is amazing.
Mm-hmm. Wyatt, when you got to see the elements, when there's animals and different things in a show, it brings a different level of work, and because animals are so unpredictable. Were there any hijinks with snakes or any other animals popping up on set, even though we're focused more on snakes in this one?
Not with the snakes that were brought on set. That's where it gets fun. When you're filming in the swamp, obviously, you're going to come into contact with a few things that, are supposed to be there. It's their home, but humans don't really want them around at that moment in time because like we're working and all that stuff. And so we had these amazing snake wranglers on set. Absolutely awesome. And I have to preface this with the snakes were treated better than the actors most of the time. But there was one day specifically that I remember. It was actually my last day on set. We were all filming out in the middle of the swamp in Louisiana. And the snake wrangler comes up and he's like, "Hey, I caught one." And Craig and I look at him and we're like, what do you mean? He's like, "Oh, I just caught a wild one. Check this out." Pulls it right out of his hoodie pocket. And he's just got a snake. God. And I'm like, "Oh, Lord." He's like, "Don't worry, they're not venomous. They're actually really sweet." He's like, "This one's warm right now." So he's calm. And we were able to pet him and touch him. And Claudia, she's got some guts because she was just like, "Oh, yeah, I'll hold him. I'll take a photo with him with this wild snake." And it was really fun. I loved the fact that I got to learn so many new, facts about snakes and wildlife and all that fun stuff. So it was really interesting seeing all the snakes on set.
Well, this doesn't sound like a bad way to spend some time. A shout out to Louisiana, because that's where my parents are from. Well, I thank you guys for your time. This show really made me laugh. It has some really fun and heartwarming moments, and I appreciate you talking to me about it. Thank you again.
Thank you so much.
Take care.
Better shake your booties for black girl nerves. Better shake your booties for black girl nerves.